But in the mean, how did that make you feel? So was it a bit like, well, that's a bit of a shock, or what was this idiot coming on, getting us to dance straight away, or what will people think? Did you even notice? Did you tune in with yourself and go, do I actually want to dance? Do I actually want to get up and do this? Or did you just do it? Because I've just come on and said, get on, crack on, right? Did it make you feel vulnerable? Right. So check in with yourself, just be honest with yourself for a moment, because all of it is welcome, because all of it is human. And before we get into the talk, what I'm going to do is just introduce myself. And I'm not sure if I can do as well in the introduction as Dear did, but my name's Adam Slawson. I am a self-mastery coach and I'm the founder of Plight Club Clothing. And I help people, what I do is I help people remember who they were before the world told them how they should be. Okay. And in that, everything I do, I help people get into their vulnerability so that they can express their emotions, because it is the key, right? It is the key to an abundant life and aligning with the life that is meant for us via the law of vibration, which is what I specialize in. I host a radio show called Vulnerability in the City. And the next show is next Thursday. And I'll share the link with Dia so that she can share it with everyone. And we go into like sex, love, relationships, so it's kind of guidance, not advice, but guidance for that kind of how to navigate those scenarios. And in short, I help people unweave the web of their parental and social conditioning so they can learn to respond instead of react to life, right? And a huge part of this is understanding the purpose of vulnerability. So I'm going to go straight off the bat and say, I'm just going to tell you what it is. Right. And so most people think that it's a feeling of being exposed. And on the battlefield, yeah, it is. Right. But in conversation, I think we need to redefine it. Its purpose is for connection. Right. It feels negative. Right. But the word vulnerability, vulnera means wound and ability means ability. So it means the ability to expose or go into your wounds and share. And that is how that we connect with people. Without vulnerability, you think of it when you're in a relationship. Yes, you bond over the quote unquote positive things, but it's when you share something that's vulnerable and they catch you ultimately and can relate to you is where that you really build those trust bonds. Right? And through the work that I help people with, I help people redefine it as from the negative feeling to a positive feeling, and that is the thing that increases their ability to respond instead of react. Right. And that I keep saying respond instead of react because it is key to what we're going to talk about. Okay. So the aim of this session, right? The aim of this session is to enable you to feel more in life. Feel more. That's the key to everything that I do, everything in life. And you'll understand that as we get into it. And so you'll be able to master our vulnerability, so the ability to be vulnerable, and you'll be able to master your emotions through that, and that because you'll be able to raise your self-awareness, connect with and feel those emotions, and it's namely fear mostly, but obviously the other ones as well, and that is what will enable you to respond instead of react and connect more deeply with people and situations in your life. Because when we can respond instead of react, it is the key, absolute key to mastering the law of vibration. And the law of vibration is the thing that governs the entire universe. Big statement, but it's true. And what will happen as you do that is you'll start to attract the abundant life that's meant for you. That's why the title of this workshop is The Purpose of Vulnerability, the Key to an Abundant Life. And we'll get into what is behind vulnerability as we go through the talk, right? I have to give a little bit of a caveat at this point in time, is there is a lot in this talk. I'm about to give you and put across a lot of information. So I'm going to say strap in, basically. And the reason I say this bit is because to get people to pay attention. But what I will do is between each section, I will give a little reminder. We'll have a little Q&A. And so that we can, absorb the information. Because if you were to implement what is in this talk, you wouldn't need a coach anymore. You wouldn't need anyone to help you. You can just use all this information and it would transform your life, right? It's easier said than done, of course. And I'll get into that as we go through. So before we get into it, well, I think it's very important that we start with a couple of definitions, right? So we've got the law of attraction, and these are the universal laws. The two main ones are the law of attraction and the law of vibration. The law of attraction is pretty simple. It's like whatever you focus on, you get more of, basically. And then the law of vibration, though, it states that everything in the universe is energy, and it's connected through our thoughts, feelings, and actions. And these influence that energy and the vibration around us. Therefore, by aligning our thoughts and actions, we can attract more essentially better, different, more positive energy into our lives. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we align our thoughts, words, and actions? And that this is the key and the purpose of vulnerability, is by paying attention to vulnerability in the as it comes up in our conversations in life and our conversations with life. Right. So it's essentially to be able to listen to our bodies more. The purpose of vulnerability is to give us signals where our body has energetic blockages, right? Because emotions are the residue of experience. And so when we have them in our body, vulnerability is going, hey, can you pay attention? Feel me, in essence, is what it's saying. So the way we have conversations in life is there's obviously in relationships, but there's 3 stages to a conversation in life, which is relationship, possibility, action. Right. And so most people in life go straight to action. And it's like, no, but the trust hasn't been built. And so we can't go to possibility because we haven't built the trust. But people bypass that. And so it's but they do that because they feel vulnerable, they feel whatever, and they want to get to safety as quickly as possible, which is essentially the thing that they want. Right. And so you'll see there that the vulnerability plays its part. But then if you compare it to the conversations with life itself, which is life is constantly speaking to us, which I'll get onto in due course. And the method that I use for that is called the LAM method, which is liberate plus acceptance equals magnetism. Okay, so liberate is just essentially noticing what you're noticing. Whenever you have a reaction or something energetically or emotion comes up, notice it, pay attention to it more. Acceptance is accepting the energy of that emotion, which is whether it's a positive or negative emotion, which I'll get onto in due course. I keep using these because there's no such thing as positive or negative, right? But I have a habit of doing this, right? So, but then if you do think of it as a sum, liberate plus acceptance, the end bit, magnetism, is what attracts a different life towards us, and which we'll get into as we go through the talk. So we're going to cover 4 things mainly. So encouragement to feel the vulnerability involved with facing your emotions. And number 2, why embracing them is so important and how it is the key to an abundant life. 3, we're going to talk about how cacao can help with your alignment journey. And then 4, we're going to do a bit of practical exercises on emotional expression. How does that sound? Show of thumbs. Excellent. 4 thumbs from 2 people. We are rocking and rolling. Right. So first thing to say is we can only remember, we're human. So we can only remember 3 things. So right now, don't try and remember anything I say, which is an unusual thing to say at the beginning of a talk. You will remember exactly what you need to, and that's the trippy way life works. And you might not remember it immediately after talk, but a few days later or whatever, you go, oh shit, that thing that guy said. Oh yeah, that. Okay. And it will pop into your brain. And so just try and kind of treat this as a podcast. Just tune in, listen, relax, sip some cacao, and we will get into it. Listen to my dulcet tones. Okay. So does anyone know what this is? You can just say what you see. Oh, you're both on mute. So come off mute so we can chat.
Is it a band? A belt?
It's a belt. And what color is it?
Black.
There you go. It's a black belt.
It's a black belt.
It's a black belt. And you mentioned about kickboxing, but does anyone know what, other than practice? I didn't nick this black belt. I earned it. Does anyone know? Can you guess how I got it? 2 reasons. There's 2 main reasons. Probably not. It's a completely random question. But there are 2 main reasons, right?
You became really good at a martial arts sport.
One reason, but the reason I got really good is because of anxiety. That's the number 1 reason I have a black belt. But the second reason is boundaries, which I'll get onto in due course, right? So who either of you suffer from anxiety occasionally or overthinking?
I don't know if, well,
going numb.
No, but I've got complex PTSD, so sometimes that can look like anxiety or feel a little similar. But I wouldn't say I was ever an anxious person. But
okay, fair enough. But there's fear that comes up with regards to whatever that's caused the PTSD, which is fair enough, right? Anxiety, right? Although it feels, or that the fear that comes up, although it feels shit, and don't get me wrong, it feels awful. With a slight reframe, it can transform your life, which I'll get onto. So stay tuned for that reframe, because it really, really is an absolute game changer, right? The second reason is boundaries, right? And what I want to Imagine that in kickboxing, right? If two people, one's in the corner, one's this, and imagine that the other person is like punching them. Imagine that that's life coming at them, like the way they want it to be, doing these things, right? Most people just like kind of might push back and try and force life to what they want it to be, right? The way you go from a white belt to a black belt in martial arts is learning simply to just like this. Learning to go from, to go from here to go to there. Right, that's it. Learning how to take a step back. That's all you need to do. Right? And with time and training, obviously that makes more sense. But what we need to do is the same principles with our emotions, which I'll get onto in a minute. Right. So who here feels that they could have better boundaries, right, in expressing how they feel? Any people pleasers used to or did do? Difficulty saying no at times? Anxiety or numbness or fear? Anger outbursts? Overthinking? That's it. Everyone's nodding. I'm saying that's good. It's not good that you do those things, but it's good that we are human because they all happen to all of us. So inner critics, right? Have you got how loud is your inner critic? Again, nodding quite a lot. Good. Right. They are all programmed into you and they are all signs of unprocessed trauma. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what they are is 100% what your current reality is based on. Okay. So 100% of what your current reality is based on is your parental and social conditioning. Unless you become aware of it and take action to change it, you will continually run that programming for the rest of your life. Okay, so I'm dramatic pause for effect. All right, so perpetuating those ways of being, and it's essentially due to being afraid, right, of our vulnerability. That's the main thing. That's why I'm so passionate about vulnerability, is what restricts our vibration. And that's what keeps us essentially living someone else's life. Most people are living their parents or what society deems that they should live, right? And we need better boundaries because when we people please or we overthink, we are leaking energy all over the place. And that just lowers our vibration. Mm-hmm. And that lowers our ability to attract a life that we want towards us, right? So I've just said something that's pretty big. It's a very big concept of what I've just introduced. So I just wonder, how does it land? Does it, because you nodded and went, does it make sense?
That's like, but also it makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Okay. Right. So the first thing you can do to understanding more and more implementing in your life is what I call make a conditioning list, right? And the way you make a conditioning list is you just write down everything you can remember in the history of your life, right? Which sounds like, whoa, that's a lot, but you won't be able to remember very much, like a huge amount. But even if it was just the top 10 things, anything you feel that is significant, right? That is something that is put on a conditioning list. And as soon as you bring it from your subconscious to your conscious, life will bring you people and situations to enable you to help process it, right? And I want to just illustrate as to how our body works, right? So if you think back 3 months ago when you went to a supermarket, right? Nothing happened. You just bought some food. You can't really remember it, right? You'll go, but you must have gone to a supermarket within the 3 months, right? He's like, I can't remember it, right? Imagine if you got punched in the face or you met the love of your life there, you would remember it because an emotion happened. Mm-hmm. And so emotions are the residue of experience. And the way our bodies work is that we take these lessons and what happens, and it logs in our body, and that is essentially how we remember lots and lots of things. There's way more to it scientifically than that, but in short, that's roughly what it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that that's how raised our awareness to what is causing our resistances or our reactions. So this is now part 1, which is encouragement to be more vulnerable with regards to our emotions.
I have a question. When you said make a conditioning list,
yeah.
Conditioning list. Can you give me an example? What would be a conditioning?
Right. So for me, I got into, which I'll get onto, I will and explain more about it. But I got into a fight when I was 17 and I almost killed someone. Okay. That's one example. But in short, don't think about it too much. Just whatever you remember, write it down.
Write the strong memories, basically.
Any strong memory, anything that you remember to answer this question is the things that are relevant to your conditioning list, because you wouldn't be able to remember it unless there was an emotion attached to it, right?
Gotcha.
Cool. So in order to move forward in this talk, we need to have a stable datum for what emotions are, so that we're all on the same page. Okay. So I'm going to put it out to the audience. What's your definition? What are emotions?
Hmm. I'm going to say the cliche thing of energy in motion.
That's
Yeah.
it. That is the cliche thing that I'm wanting to hear. A lot of people say feelings, lots of people, which are all true as well. But in order to be able to level the playing field with regards to the law of vibration, we need to talk in terms of energy, right? And emotions are, well, according to John Bradshaw, who's the founding father of the self-help movement, according to him, emotions are a form of energy in motion. Right, the word emotion is derived from the Latin emovere, which means to move out or move through, or just simply to move ultimately. Okay, so I'm going to get a bit sciencey on you for a second, which is to explain the first law of thermodynamics. And that states that the amount of energy in the universe is constant. Right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. Right? The takeaway from that is that the energy has to go somewhere. So when we emotionally react or people please, overthink, feel out of control, it's when the energy of our emotion doesn't or can't move for some reason. That is the only reason that we feel out of control or overthink. Grand statement, but if you think about it, which I'll hopefully convince you through this talk, right? So the vibration of that energy, obviously it can be a lot to take at times, right? And because we feel exposed, right? We feel open to attack. That is the definition of vulnerability, right? And that's hence our actions of overthinking and trying to find safety. That's what those things are for. They're safety reactions. When we go numb, when we become anxious, they're all the same thing. Our fight and flight has been activated. Right? So to embrace it, to be able to become an emotional black belt, we need to learn how to take a step back and embrace that feeling of vulnerability and convert it from a negative feeling to a positive feeling, right? In our head, it's just conditioning that said that it's a negative feeling, which I will get onto. I'm doing like little hooks throughout the talk because I'm learning as in my marketing to do these hook things, and they're very, very useful, right? To keep people listening.
Yeah.
Right, so how do we do that? Okay, so there's a philosophical statement, which is you cannot be what you observe. Okay, so essentially, if you can see it, you're not it. Right? So I can see you guys, therefore I know I'm not you. I can see I can't see me without looking in a mirror. I can't see into my own head, right? I can close my eyes and be in there, but I can't see into it. So you cannot be what you observe. Therefore, if you notice that you're angry, you're no longer angry. If you notice that you're joyful, you're no longer joyful. If you notice that you're sad, therefore you've taken a step back from it, and you can see that you're like the blue sky and your thoughts and emotions are like the clouds. You are the awareness looking at things, viewing it. Right. So just for now, two things I'm going to do. First one is just say the word without saying it out loud. Say the word happiness. Right. You've just said happiness without using your lips, and you've just heard it without using your ears. So something else is going on. It doesn't matter whether you're into spirituality or what. There's that, for me, proves enough that, you know, you can hear things that aren't necessarily spoken, right? So you're aware of things, yeah? And so another thing to do for when you're feeling slightly anxious or anxious, as a thought experiment, say this out loud. I wonder what my next thought's going to be, and tell me what happens.
I wonder what my next thought is going to be, and tell me what happens.
Not the last bit. I wonder what my next thought. I wonder what my next thought's going to be.
I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Blank.
Yes, because you can't think about your thoughts because you can't be what you observe. So it trips it up. So if you're ever in an anxiety, overthinking spiral, if you remember the tool, which is, I wonder what my next thought's going to be, it just gives you a little bit of a break to remember that your awareness, you're not your thoughts and emotions. So they're two very useful tools, right? This helps us bring your awareness to the fact, as I said, that you're not your thoughts and your emotions. You are the blue sky, and they are objects like the clouds in passing in front of you. And meditation is obviously a very, very powerful thing here. And the idea is with a meditation is to be not attached to whatever's there, just allow it to pass through. Right? And that's a very, very useful tool, which I'm a big fan of. But raising our awareness through noticing what you're noticing, i.e. getting more choice, can be aided by accepting two limiting beliefs, right? These are quite big limiting beliefs. As I've already said, thoughts are not real. They do not exist. There is no such thing as a positive or negative thought. This is why I just do this a lot, because there is no such thing as anything that's positive or negative. We just think there is. So let me explain. So we have roughly about 90,000 thoughts a day. There's one fact that happens is that we cannot control the first one. We can't, it just pops up. It's not even our thoughts. They are the thoughts that are in your head have been around for eons, and they've just come into your awareness and they've been put into you, right? Which is, there's a big philosophy around that, loads of science behind it, but I won't go into it, right? So we can't control our first one, but we can control the second one, right? And so got a story about this, which is it's slightly embarrassing, but I'm going to say it anyway. That when I was about 2 years ago, my dad's sister sadly died, and we went to the funeral, and it was a graveyard funeral. It was in Devon. It was raining. Conditions were a bit muddy, so it was a bit wet. But my dad, obviously being related or close, had to go up, and you chuck like dirt into the grave, so he had to go and do that. And he's at 78 then, I think. And so, and I don't see my dad cry very often, but he was very distraught. And so both my brother and I were a bit worried that he was gonna, not be able to do it. And so we supported him up to the grave. And as we got to the grave side, my thought was, I'm going to push him in. That was my thought, right? And so I have quite a dark sense of humor. And old me would have gone off on a thought train saying, you're so horrible, you're what a dickhead, whatever. But then I was like, no, I can't control my thoughts, that first thought, but I can control the second one. Right. And the second one was, okay, I'll be compassionate. I laughed in my head. I didn't laugh out loud. I laughed, and I was like, I know that's inappropriate at a funeral, but it is what it is. Right. And so just to illustrate that as a fact, but to give you a bit more information and convincing on that is, remember when you were remember you were a kid and someone said to you, don't touch that stove or that thing, it's hot, right? At some point, you're an inquisitive kid and you get burned and it hurts, right? So you physically learn that if I touch hot things, I get burned. So I'm going to stop doing that, right? This isn't like Netflix and chill kind of vibes. Go and get a pizza. You might accidentally burn yourself when you're not concentrating. But generally, you don't physically want pain. But the same principle, if you imagine that a negative thought is like that hot stove. Okay, with that hot stove, what we're programmed to do is keep touching the stove, and therefore we keep getting burnt. We don't get told at school to stop doing that ultimately, or to meditate and learn how to do that, right? And that is a key to helping us move through the vulnerability, and that's where meditation is very, very important, right? We keep touching the stove. And the problem is inside of us, and our ego's programmed to fix it. And then for me, when I used to suffer from really bad anxiety, I'd go off and try and think of every single solution to every single thing at infinitum. And I would get in trouble with that because it would cause massive anxiety, right? So by a show of hands, who has ever been kept up by overthinking at night? Or talking to themselves out of doing something with a dreaded sentence like, what will they think? They think. That is like, what was it like? Bring some kind of emotion to it. What overthinking at night and that sentence, what will they think? How does it make you feel?
Well, they're intrusive thoughts,
Yeah. And the feeling related to them?
Well, I want to say annoyance.
Yeah, so frustrations, maybe anger, right? Okay, and that kind of essentially makes it worse because you end up, overthinking because of the anger, blah, 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 right? But like one thing to say is, who the fuck are they anyway, right? Like, who the fuck are they? Really annoyed like that. And so I had this, I made a commitment to myself that if I ever thought that sentence, whatever it was, I would do it. So when I used to, before what I do now, I used to be a managing consultant, and I have tattoos and things, and that's not really done in that world. But I also had, when this was like, I don't know, 10 years ago now, but I had a pair of leopard skin shoes, right, which I fucking loved. They were really, really nice. And as I was going through the work that, I practiced what I not preach, but what I do. And there was one day I was like, can I wear these to the office? And I was like, the dreaded sentence came through, what will they think? And I was like, fuck it, right, I'm going out the door. And obviously when you go out the door, you can't change your shoe. Well, you could take your shoes off, it'd be weird, but you could. But when I got to the office, what happened was everyone complimented me on my shoes, which was really nice. Maybe they thought they were shit and they were doing that out of politeness, but it didn't matter, right? And most importantly, what happened was I felt the vulnerability of that moment and converted it into something positive. And that has helped heal whatever was creating that's what they think, right? Because overthinking and at questions and things like what will they think it's your ego, right? It's doing its job, but it's just doing its job on based on out-of-date programming. Right? And all we need to do to raise our vibration and align with the abundant life that is meant for us is reprogram ourselves. And that comes through reframing vulnerability and the purpose in the way I've spoke about it so far. With me so far? Nodding, it's good. So the second limiting belief that needs to be accepted is that all emotions, every single one of them, are equally as important as each other. None are better than each other, right? Sadness is not better than joy. It's not better. It's just energy that wants to move. That's all it is. And so this was the key, right? This is the key that enabled me to get on stage and do the work that I do. And also it gives me the ability to stay in relationship. Like through my 30s, I dated probably the same woman 5 times. They were all lovely and but I just got to a point where, I'd feel vulnerable and I'd go numb and I'd think the relationship was like something was wrong with it. And I'd just leave the relationship rather than talk about it. I'd judge myself. I would judge my emotions, that it was like the shame and the thing that would come up with it. Like there was something wrong or something wrong with me. And that was what broke me free, was not judging it and being able to say, okay, I'm feeling like shame here. I don't know, I did those. But I'm feeling it here. And I enabled me to talk about how I was feeling to my partner. And that was the thing that set me free, right? So our inner critics are loud and they live in fear, or they keep us in fear because our ego is trying to keep us safe from being vulnerable. That's all it's trying to do, right? And that's its one job, is to keep us alive. It does not care about the quality of your life. It does not give a shit. As long as your heart's beating, your ego's happy.
Okay, quick
right?
question. Why does the ego feel like vulnerability is not safe?
So because we're essentially programmed into
Conditioning.
it. Right? It's conditioning, yeah. So vulnerability is the thing that in olden times, as an example, let's say primal times, it's the thing that motivated us. It's the thing that got us up and go. Like if we were going to run out of food or couldn't find shelter, we'd get scared, right? And so energy would be created to create action. And in the context of the energy of yin and yang, like if you're in the yin energy of the receptive energy, you can't be in that energy all the time. So there's an element, something needs to kind of give us a kick, which would be the yang energy coming in, and the vulnerability would be the key to moving that forward. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to explain this in a slightly different way using my trusted hose pipe. So where's the entity? Right. So I'm probably the only guy that travels the world with a hose pipe. So imagine that this is a hose pipe, of course, and imagine this bit here is your body, right? And this bit that would go all the way back to the tap is the history of your life, right? Attached to the tap. And the water coming through the hose pipe represents your emotions, right? So when you're born, when you're a baby, your hose pipe is like this big, right? There's no kinks, there's no parental and social conditioning yet, right? So what happens is that you manifest your reality perfectly to keep you alive, which is you get food, you get water, you get shelter. Obviously, if those things don't happen, that is the conditioning happening, right? But what happens over time, and I'll use my life as an example, is that when I was 1, I fell down the stairs. When I was 6, I got bullied. 7, I got bullied. 14, I felt all my friends abandoned me. 17, I got into that fight I mentioned. Right? All of those things create kinks in the hose pipe. Therefore, the energy of our emotions can't flow how it's meant to. Therefore, the amount of feeling that we have in life isn't as much. However, when we come across something that is a quote unquote threat, which is for me was the fear of losing control and the fear of abandonment, based on mainly on the losing control when I was 17 and my friends all abandoned me when I was 14, my body will go, oh, there's something wrong here. protection, and all it is this amount of energy comes through, but it can't go through, and therefore the feeling of anxiety is essentially a kink at the hose pipe. That's all it is. And what happens, the pressure builds up to a certain point, and then it goes, and your body goes, okay, I've got a factory reset, comes out, all the emotion comes rushing through, and it feels awful and horrible, but you don't stay anxious forever. So in that, you don't stay happy forever either, in the same principle. But that's just to illustrate what's going on, right? And so what we need to do is learn how to massage. Like, so if you just grab your thumb like this, do you know the migraine thing? It's like if you've got a migraine, you squeeze this bit, right? So find a bit that it hurts. So it hurts a little bit. Who likes the pain of a physical massage? A little bit, right? You like the pain of a physical massage. Did you do? Yeah, of course you do. Right? And so why? Why do you like the pain?
Because I know that it's loosening the knots.
Yes, exactly. So you know it's good for you, right?
Yeah.
Right. So anxiety with regards to your emotions is exactly the same thing. It's like when you're vulnerable and you feel that feeling, it is like when you can hold yourself and allow yourself to move through it. It's the equivalent of having an emotional, a physical massage, but for your emotions. That makes sense? Nodding. Right. That's the end of that section. So, and just say back to me anything you remember from that. You don't have to remember it all, just to have a little chat.
I'm more of a visual person, so I'm seeing myself and the kinks. I'm already visualizing what those kinks could be. So
yeah, and those kinks are your conditioning list.
So I'm a visual person. So yeah.
Awesome. Did you feel vulnerable when I asked you this question to say what have you remembered? Did a little panic go off in your body? Because often
I saw like several things. I was like, oh yeah.
Dear, how about you? Anything you remember?
For me, well, I remember about becoming an emotional, like having a black belt with my emotions.
Yeah.
And what you just said just now last about anxiety being like a massage for your emotions. So
yes.
Reframing. So when I feel anxiety, reframing it rather than like, oh no, again, being like, oh, okay. Here it is. Here's the opportunity. I'm getting a little emotional massage.
Yeah, and that reframe is the thing that absolutely transformed my life, right? The reframe that anxiety is actually, it feels like shit. Don't get me wrong. I've been in the trenches with anxiety, but it's actually your best friend, because anxiety is essentially like a fire alarm going off in your body saying, pay attention. There's something that you need to feel here, but you're not allowing yourself to feel it. Right. And so, but what happens is most people just stay in the house, right? And obviously it's very uncomfortable. But the idea is we want to move the energy of our emotions out, right? And i.e. by feeling them, most importantly, right? And so to summarize that section, thoughts aren't real. They don't exist. All emotions are equally as important as each other. And to raise our vibration and to feel abundant, like in that way, we need to massage out the kinks of our emotional hose pipe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that is by being vulnerable, by feeling the feelings that we need to feel, which is easier said than done, right? But now we know what we need to do to face our emotions, and to master them, we need to embrace and accept them. And this obviously requires being vulnerable too, right? So there's a pattern here, right? What the purpose of vulnerability is. Mm-hmm. Okay, so part 2, why embracing emotions is important and how it's the key to an abundant life. Mm-hmm. So I've already mentioned this, but think of the baby. A baby, and I can go into the quantum physics of this, that we have an energetic field that comes out from our heart and goes round, and it's literally on a particle level attracting life towards us. And a baby, just by being, just sits there and under normal conditions gets everything it needs to survive, because it is letting people know how it feels. Mm-hmm. When it without any conscious awareness, certainly before the age of 2, they go, oh, I like, in the mind of a baby for a second. They're not even aware that they've got like wet, as an example. They don't even know what those words are. There's something's happened. So there's an alarm bell goes off and someone comes and they get changed and they're dry again, right? And there's no threat to their existence. Obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, of course, and that is a part of the parental and social conditioning, right? So, but what happens over the course of our existence, and this is what our conditioning list is we get programmed fear. Babies, there's no fear in babies when they first pop out, unless there's prenatal trauma, of course, but there's no fear in babies, but it gets learned over time. But one thing to say is that for every fear that goes through feeling the vulnerability, the trust grows. And with that, our confidence, and it becomes this beautiful, virtuous circle. So for every fear that goes, the trust grows. So remember that. So there's a question which I asked is, are there any male bodies in the house? But there are no male bodies here. So female bodies, which emotions do you struggle with expressing, if any?
I'm quite good at expressing my emotions. However, I would say the emotion that I carry shame or regret with is anger.
Yes. Thank you. Roxy, can you relate?
I'm the opposite. I actively show my anger.
Yeah, good. Well,
But I let it, my family now, we're all the same. We all know, feel it, let it out, and then it's gone. So it doesn't fester. So we're quite reactionary. But then we're like, cool, you're good now? Yeah.
good.
So.
Well, awesome. Well, that's great. Like, as in, so because when you feel it, you heal it, and it leaves. But as long as it's done in a constructive way. So for those that generally, the people I work with, I mainly work with men, but I do work with women as well. But if I was to boil it down, I work because a lot of men find it difficult to be sad, right? And so they divert to anger, right? There's obviously a big problem in society with that because the emotions don't come out easily. And then for those in female bodies, generally it's anger that they have a problem expressing, right? And they divert to sadness instead because the sentences like good girls should be seen and not heard. Sentences like big boys don't cry. They create prisons for us.
So I think I'm quite, in the male sense, I don't like to show sad.
Okay.
I think I show anger.
Yeah. So there's
about that before.
Yeah, so there's something obviously like generally most female bodies suffer with, and they're obviously anomalies to the rule, but in that, but so for you when you don't like to show sadness, so it's kind of difficult to cry. You don't cry that often would be one way to phrase that, and so you in a way that's kind of more of a male body trait, but it happens across depending on your conditioning. Like the conditioning that happens to you could be big girls don't cry. You could have exactly heard that sentence. So you would have had the same conditioning, right? So in order to move through, we need to unlearn that conditioning. And the thing that indicates where our conditioning is the feeling of vulnerability, right? And that is reframing that vulnerability is vitally important, hence this talk, if we want to feel the abundance that is possible in our lives, right? The thing that I've mentioned so far will help you extend to be able to take that step back, which I've mentioned, and extend the choice gap, which I call it. So the more you can choose to, as in become the awareness and look and witness your thoughts and emotions, the more confidence you have, the more you can hold yourself, and the more you can constructively express how you feel, right? Because when we feel it, in turn, let go of the emotion, we heal it. So remember, if life deals it and we feel it, we heal it. Long and short of it, if we don't notice that life has dealt it, i.e. we don't notice our reactions to things, we can't feel it and we can't heal it. So going right back to the beginning of this talk with regards to the conversations, and the vulnerability is about improving our conversations in life, noticing what we're noticing, liberate, that's the dealing it coming from life. The feeling it is the acceptance, both negative and positive emotions. So to be able to allow ourselves to feel joy, to feel the safety, to feel, a lot of people are aware that they're feeling, but they're not actually feeling. So there's quite a big, and it takes practice to do that, right? And vulnerability is giving you guidance. Okay. And life is constantly, and I mean constantly, supporting us to doing this by this sentence, which I've said already, but life brings us people and situations to reflect where we're not free yet, or to reflect where there's opportunities to be free, whichever way you want to phrase it. Right. So any reaction that you have in any form is life reflecting to you where you are not free yet. And so if you can notice your reactions and take a step back and then choose, and this is what the key to an abundant life is, ability to be able to choose. And if you can choose your actions instead of reacting, you can do what the fuck you want ultimately in life. right? And for me, the key to an abundant life is choice. One word, choice. If you can choose, abundance will come. Okay, so because each time we turn like a vulnerable moment and we face and embrace it, i.e., we feel and let go, it's like of the emotion. It is having a massage for like taking out the kinks of our emotional hose pipe. More space equals more choice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is actually an area where cacao can help, where with regards to having a practice of time to be ultimately. And you can, and with the ritual around cacao, it's like being great, like there's a grateful and expressing that. Do either of you or anyone listening have a gratitude practice?
Yeah, every day.
Are you grateful for the negative stuff?
No.
Right, so
No, my gratitude list is positive.
So now, right, so when from this point forward, try and be grateful for everything. Because if you're noticing it, you are on the journey to feeling it and then to healing it. So if anyone pisses you off, they are the best, your absolute best friend, because they've highlighted to you where you're not free. Right. And so you can be grateful. And when you're grateful for it, and the gratitude practice gets stronger and stronger and stronger, you start to realize that there's no point in thinking about the future and wanting anything different to exactly the way it is. Because if you want anything different to exactly the way it is, you are thinking, oh, I haven't got it already. Therefore, you're vibrating at lack, and therefore you attract more lack. So the gratitude practice is a huge part of this work. I've got a whole slide on it saying, talk about gratitude. It's important, right? So, but you have to be grateful for the negative things, because nothing is positive or negative. Essentially, everything that is around you is you. It's a reflection back to you, because you're putting your thoughts are putting the meaning to whatever's around you.
Okay.
I don't want to get
Can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
You can.
So I've said this to people about, everything what you're putting out is what you're getting. And I'm just going to say it. Well, what about people that are in like war-torn places right now?
So I'm not saying that they deserve that in any way, shape, or form. But what happens in my belief system is that we're souls having a human experience, right? And and I do believe in reincarnation, that people have been around a few, like thousands of times, right? And so those that are perhaps more in more challenging situations in life, I would hazard a guess that they are old souls that have been round life a few times. It's like they've been to the theme park of life, Earth School, quite a few times. And if you think about it, going to the theme park, if you keep going on the teacups, you're going to eventually want to get on the roller coaster. So in that, those people in those areas, as an example, they're on the roller coaster of life as opposed to the teacups.
Thank you. What about victims of abuse? I work with, sometimes I work with women who come to me and they've been really badly abused. And to say to someone who has been abused is like, like I mean, how do you say it compassionately without?
You don't say that. You don't say that to a person. But what happens in the context of generational trauma, in coming down in the context of souls coming down to Earth School, is that stuff has been handed down with regards to self-worth or whatever it is for years, like thousands of, back generations, back, right? And it's obviously those situations are awful, and no one would want that on anyone, right? Of course. And it's horrible when people abuse anyone in any way, shape. Bullies really like I can feel the stuff coming up with regard to that. But the way out of that, and I working with a woman who was very badly abused. But the way to become free of the trap that those bullies, or the prison that they put someone in that way of creating, is to feel whatever they felt they weren't able to feel back then, probably because they disassociated, because their ego was trying to protect them and keep them safe. And that point, quite rightly, because of what was happening to them. right? And so the work I help people with, you can't just go straight to remember, relationship, possibility, action. You can't just go heal that. It's not how it works. Slowly but surely. Imagine that their hose pipe is like, mine, let's say mine, when I first started and I suffered from anxiety, was 2 centimeters wide, and now it's 10 centimeters wide. But hypothetically, there was something that was traumatic in my past that was 12 centimeters wide. There's absolutely no way I'd be able to feel it with a hose pipe that was 2 centimeters wide. So slowly, but if I tried to and someone pushed me to do it, it's just going to cause more trauma, and that should never happen. But what needs to happen is incrementally building a person's confidence and settling that in their nervous system, and to use this analogy, stretching their hose pipe. And once they get to, say, 11 centimeters wide, and they've got the ability to hold the energy of the emotions, they've got the tools needed to be able to do that, then eventually they'll be able to feel the conditioning that happened to them way back when. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay. So, and in that, so actually building on that is like, so because every time, and to build and stretch our hose pipe, every time we notice something, we raise our vibration very, very slightly, right? And what happens is that we change reality very, very slightly, right? So think, if you both put your hands out like this. So imagine you're facing, your current life is facing 12 o'clock on a clock face, right? And so something happens and you notice how you feel. It's like, oh, okay, I noticed that. And then you allow yourself to feel the energy of the emotion. Therefore, the energy moves through you. What happens is that you change your reality very slightly. So imagine the second hand of a clock ticking round, and tick your hand a little bit to the right. Tick your hand one hand just very gently to the right. Yeah. And so imagine that though, if you push those lives out at that same trajectory, they would end up in very, very different places, right? And that's just from one behavioral change. So if you think of it, every time you make a behavioral change, you change reality very slightly, and you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. You get to 3 o'clock and you're like, oh, I can see my old life. Okay. But I'm still actively having to make decisions to change my behavior. But eventually you keep going and you get to 6 o'clock, and you don't recognize your own life in any way, shape, or form. You've changed your identity. It doesn't bother you in any way, shape, or form, right? And that is essentially what I help people with, of course. But I don't say that I suffer with anxiety anymore. I don't even identify with that. Like, if anxiety happens to me, it's like, it still feels shit, but I'm like, fucking great. Something's pointed out to me where I'm not free. Let me talk about it. Let me do some form of sitting with it and absolutely feeling it. Then maybe do some sort of emotional release practice as well, right? But it's like, as I said, it's like a fire alarm, and any form of trigger that happens within my body is the best thing ever, because it's allowing me to become free, right? And so then you end up in life, which is the key to an abundant life. You end up in an absolutely no-lose situation. If something great happens, wicked. If something negative happens and it highlights where you're not free, wicked. Win-win. So more choice, right? That's the end of that section. Anything you remember?
That I always have a choice, and that choice is the key to freedom.
Amen. Roxy, anything that jumps to mind?
I am taking notes because I have a memory thing, but
So to summarize that section, abundance comes with our ability to choose, and the choice comes from our ability to stay calm. That doesn't mean not feel, but the stay calm bit of this is what I'm referring to, is whenever we react and act on that reaction, like, say, actually, Roxy, with regards to your family, when they get angry, right? You're giving energy to a reality that you don't want by being angry. And when somebody is like, the anger comes out of them and they express it in that way, what they're actually saying to their nervous system is, you can't handle this, so I have to get rid of it. It's like a sneeze for your nervous system. So what needs to happen is, when a person notices at the essentially the chi rising, the energy rising, what happens in your scenario that you're referring to, everyone just goes rah, and it comes out, right? But what needs to happen actually is the person needs to go off and feel it. So realize that, oh, hang on a minute, I can feel myself getting activated here. I'm going to go off, sit with that emotion, take the fear out of feeling that anger, and then come back and not to say don't have boundaries. Of course, that's exactly what 100% have boundaries. But then you express yourself in a calm way. You've not given energy to a reality that you don't want. So the other thing to remember, life's a mirror. Our reactions highlight where our work is. So that's why they're the best thing ever. And each time we feel an emotion, we change our behavior. It's like massaging out the kink. And in quantum physics, you literally, and I mean literally, you go into a different reality. It's a minute change, but you completely shift reality every time you change your behavior. Because when we allow ourselves to feel those trapped emotions from our past and expressing them through, eventually expressing them through, firstly feeling them and then expressing it through noise, like talking, noise, movement, etc., the volatility of our anxiety and our fear in the present, it massively reduces. Right. And what happens then is that when that volatility reduces, it prevents overthinking. Right. And that gives us a huge increase in confidence, and that creates that beautiful virtuous circle that I mentioned. So we've already mentioned it. So, but think of it this way, right? If we all have, the 7 main emotions. So let's pretend we've got 7 cups in our body, and each cup, so let's say this is the anger cup. If that cup is full, when anything in the environment around you, it's very easy to make you angry. It's like pouring more water into the cup, and therefore the cup goes. And Roxy, the point with your family, something makes you angry very easily because there's a lot of trapped anger in the cup. So what we need to do is slowly but surely pour out the cup. There's water in here, so I can't turn it upside down. But at the same time, when we allow ourselves to feel it, what we do is essentially change our our cup to a saucepan, right? It gets wider. There's the same amount of anger in the volume of anger, but because we've stretched it, the top of it reduces, so you're much more less likely to react. And therefore, you can choose your reaction more constructively. Yes? Nods, we're still here. So therefore, and that enables you to remain calm, right? So non-reaction is ultimately, again, non-reaction is not feeling. Non-reaction is actually feeling, right? Because you're choosing to take the fear out of the emotion and feel it. And that's a superpower. And what happens every single time we don't react, we essentially burn off a reality that we don't want. There's not need, like a reality of anger. If you react angrily, you're just creating a reality that anger is in there. Okay. So what we need to do, and in the spiritual community particularly, I'm going to assume that people know about chakras and the chakra system. We have 7 main ones going through our body. They're energetic centers. And so the heart one, and so obviously cacao is the medicine of the heart, right? And so what happens in the spiritual community is that most people have a martini glass in their body. So it's like this, right? Going down to the heart. And this bit is the stem of the martini glass. And this bit in the chakras is the fear, shame, guilt is stored all in these areas. So if anyone with IBS, anyone with tight hips, all this kind of premature ejaculation for men, it's all stored emotion that's in here, right? And so the microcosmic orbit, which you were referring to, if men do semen retention, that they are not going to get anywhere unless they go into the dark masculine energy and feel this thing, right? And semen retention is amazing because it's kind of like putting the thumb over the hose pipe. It massively intensifies the amount of energy you have in your body. But unless you've changed your martini glass to a channel by feeling the shame and feeling the guilt there, you can't circulate the energy in the way that it's can be circulated, and you can't connect in the way that is possible, speaking from a man's point of view. But in general, like if you want to get where your soul's potential could get to, you have to change your martini glass to a channel, because the energy from the universe will flow through you as it's meant to, and you will get to where you're meant to get to. Not necessarily where you want, but where you're meant to. Okay? So part 3, which is how cacao can help us on that alignment journey, right? And so I don't pretend to be an expert in cacao, but I have sampled it. I am a hippie, so of course it's kind of injected into us wherever we go. And so, but it is the medicine of the heart, right? It is the heart. And dear, please do correct me if I need correcting, but it's like the medicine of the heart. It's a heart opener, right? And the heart is the critical bit between spirit and matter, right? And so if we want the energy of spirit to manifest in this reality, we have to open our hearts. I have to. And that vulnerability is key. That is the purpose of it. And cacao, the spirit of cacao, helps you open your heart. It activates the more feminine energy. And that can, if you've certainly got a tight martini glass at the bottom, can be quite challenging, but because it pushes towards the edge of your hose pipe, to mix up my metaphors, but it feels stretching, right? And so what we need to do is relax into it. And obviously cacao can help with that. But the ceremony around it is about slowing down. It's about feeling. It's about connecting with others, etc., etc. So it enables us to be more receptive and be more nurturing and relax, in essence, the masculine or the yang energy around it. Make sense? Anything to add on that, dear?
Well, yeah, thank you. That it does so physically as well. You know, because cacao, the theobromine, it's a vasodilator. So it's physically allowing the blood vessels to dilate. Therefore, the oxygen is circulating better through the body. So it releases tension in the body. It helps your lungs breathe better. It like amplifies it. So it's sort of it's opening up that channel. And because it's also helping you produce serotonin, dopamine, and anandamide, then it's helping you come into a state of calmness when you can be more receptive.
Yes, beautiful.
So it's beautiful because it's not just happening energetically, is happening on a physical level as well.
Yeah, and the physical level, our bodies are in the context of the work that I help people with, understanding the law of vibration. Our thoughts create our reality, and our emotions bring it back. We are literally liberate plus acceptance equals magnetism. So whatever you're feeling now is the life that you will get more of, in short. So if you can have some cacao or ceremony in that way, which helps relax you, you're going to get more relaxed, more a life that is more reactive, relaxed. If you're constantly tense and things, what happens to constantly tense people? They get a life that's more constantly tense, right? And so they wonder, the thing that most people do when they've got a big, long to-do list and they feel stressed about it is do more things on the to-do list. And that is the opposite of what people should do. They should stop, feel the stress, feel the things, and that helps. And cacao obviously can help you slow down in that way, right? And so one of the things it obviously can help with is emotional release support, or as I call it, RAW, regular opportunities for authentic release. Okay, so this is where, and that is like talking about how you're feeling and being with the feelings, which obviously cacao can help with. Movement, dancing, that's regular opportunities for, and shouting into a pillow or screaming, that is also another way of doing it, which we are going to get onto, right? And so what I can put you two into a breakout room if you like, but what we're going to do, and this is the exercises, is the yin and yang essentially of emotional release, right? But what I want you to reckon, or maybe we could just do it on camera, might be, and we'll just do it one round and say, so for the yin version of emotional expression, we would do paired exercises where you come together and say to each other and talk to each other and go, what I want you to know about me is whatever it is, and then what I don't want you to know about me is, right? And all I want you to notice and pay attention to is the feeling of vulnerability that comes up, because particularly with the second bit, it goes, like there might be that feeling, right? That's the feeling we want to notice, because that's your best friend, right? And then we'll do the yang version, which is we're going to have a shout. Okay. So it's up to you. It's an invitation here to ask you whether either of you want to say, like, what I want you to know to camera, what I want you to know about me is, what I don't want you to know about me is. Either of you want to go, you don't have to, but.
Well, just to know that this is being recorded and it will be seen by present, past, and future students of Cacao More. We do have a vow of confidentiality, so whoever watches these, remember that. But I'm happy to play.
Okay. So do you want us to lead off?
Sure. So something I want you to know about me and something I don't want you to know about me.
Yeah.
Okay. Something I want you to know about me is that I'm very kind and giving and forgiving. And something I don't want you to know about me. Oh my God. Okay, why do I know? I don't want you to know about me. I can feel my face going red.
But is that so? That's the vulnerability that I'm referring to, right? That's the thing. I just want you to ignore that feeling and being able to hold it. Is you're currently in the process of widening and stretching your hose pipe by feeling that, as we would label it as embarrassment or something like that, right? So, but that embarrassment has been programmed into you at some point in your life, right? And by sitting with, not talking about your feelings too soon, but by sitting with the energy of that emotion and holding it, i.e. feeling it, then talking about how you feel in a constructive way. So sorry to butt in, but is there any now?
No, that was really helpful. That was really helpful. Something I don't want you to know about me. I'm addicted to romance.
You're addicted to romance or Romans?
To romance, to like
Right.
to like being in love and being loved and being desired.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Whew.
So right now, how do you feel? Like, what's the somatic experience you're having? How do you feel?
My hands are sweaty, my heart is pumping really fast. I feel my face really red. That's the somatic experience.
Yeah. So that experience, that your body reactions obviously gone into fight and flight in that, and that is because something. What? And now, if I ask you not to go on coaching and you don't have to answer this question, but what's the earliest memory you can think of that feeling? Whatever pops into your head now. What pops into your head? Don't think about it too much.
My dad.
Okay. And now a specific example of the thing that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't have to mention it, but that thing, whatever it is, part of your conditioning list, and highly likely, I'm not saying it is the exact thing, but it might be a clue towards it, is the thing that you haven't enabled your body to allowed your body to feel. And in doing that, you won't have this feeling what we just had next time you come to. That is sorry, go ahead.
So what we're saying is, like, when prompt to that question, if the reason why I feel this way is because it's attached to a story and a belief and a thing. So when I allow, I'm not feeling it. So when I sit with it and I allow myself to feel with it, then you're saying that I won't feel the same way about sharing that secret.
Yeah, it will go down it's like getting your cup and going pouring a little bit out. And what eventually happens if you do the work long enough is that you imagine, if you've ever got a golden necklace as example, and it's got a knot in it, eventually you kind of get to the point and you go bloop, and it goes vroop, and it comes undone completely. What happens as you do go deep in the shadow work, what we're referring to, is you go deep into the shadow work, you slowly but surely get clues towards the original thing that caused that. And when you hit that original thing, what happens is all the memories from that point to now disappear out. They're gone out of your existence. You won't remember them. Right. And so you end up coming more slowly but surely through really good shadow work. You become more and more present to now. You forget about the future, forget about the past so much, and you forget about the projecting into the future so much. Right. But it takes quite a while to do that because our parental and social conditioning can be quite a lot. Right.
Thank you.
Roxy, you don't have to share. Again, it's an invitation.
Sure. It's kind of a bit of a contradiction, though. So the thing that I would want people to know is, I guess I embody a warrior spirit. I protect my people. I love so big. I have this great capacity for caring and loving. But the thing that I wouldn't want people to know is I'm terrified. Really scared of life. Lonely. Feel so like the good part is I'm actually a really confident person. But the thinking about this while we were chatting, I actually feel a bit pathetic. I don't know. But that felt weird when I was thinking about it. I was like, that is true. They're both true.
Thank you for sharing that and the vulnerability included.
Saying it, but yeah.
And how do you feel having pre-sharing and post-sharing?
Yeah, I think just the realization of the ones that I didn't want to say has given me like something I really want to think about tonight and later and journal a lot, actually. Yeah, it's created a space where I'm like, I didn't know that.
Great. That's the aim of this work, ultimately. And so I will, what do I want? What I want you to know about me is that I love doing this. I'm confident at it, and I feel like I'm me when I'm on stage. And what I don't want you to know about me is that probably every single time I do it, like I'm like proper nervous, and it gets easier, but that is getting less nervous each time I do it. But like I still go through, I'm a human after all, but you want to come across, it's like, yeah, I fucking know everything, but I don't. Like, and I know, oh, actually that reminds me, I have a deep-seated fear of coming across as arrogant, right? And so because when I was only about 23, I think, someone said to me, I was doing TV extra work at the time, and this is quite, I can feel, I get the emotion coming up, and it's way, way less than it used to be sharing this story, is that someone said to me when I was 24, I was sitting in a makeup chair doing this, and they said to me, life must be easy looking the way you do, right? And I was like, at the time I suffered massively with anxiety, and I was like, thanks, but it's not, like, kind of thing. But from that point, for a long time, I hid my light under a bushel as such, because I didn't want people to think that I was kind of taking advantage because of the way I looked, right? And so I can feel it in all of my body, the emotion, very mild emotion coming through now, whereas before it would completely prevent me even saying that, right? And so just testament to the work. Okay, so do you need to switch me back to presenter view or not? I've got two of them. Is that right? Cool, nice. There we go. And also, I've thoroughly enjoyed looking at myself for the entire time. Is that is that vain to admit? So that's the yin version, right? And so the yang version. Oh, hey, we've talked about one of the things. How was that, like, overall? Like, you and Roxy, you meant it was enlightening, as in something came up for you, which is great. And now what we're going to do is the yang version of it, which is we're going to have a shout. So grab a pillow, and maybe stand up if you can stand up if you want, or if you pillow. No, pillow's fine. Right, sit. I've got a pillow. So what I want you to recognize, and also take perhaps as a practice, right? It's very, very, very important that we don't release the energy of our emotions too quickly, right? But one of the things, and this is what I have an event called Emotion Pit, which is a rage rave, and rage stands for radical access to greater energy, because it is where the music meets the law of vibration. Little plug. But one of the key things in it, and it's about, is enabling people to be at peace with feeling anger, right? And so because anger is pretty much the only emotion that we can easily mimic. Like if I go rah, like just once, my body goes rah, and it's like a lion roaring. And so my whole body is experiencing anger in that moment, right? But if we can soften our fear around anger, we are much more likely to be able to express it constructively. And then emotions are energy in motion, and they're all equally as important as each other. And therefore, it's a holistic effect. Once we've got confidence in holding the energy of anger, we get confidence in holding the energy of shame or guilt or whatever, because ultimately it's just fear. So this yin yang exercise, is like when you get out, like for the next week, as long as you want, but every morning assuming you have a shower in the morning, get out of the shower, get a towel, and do what we're about to do. Three roars, roar, 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 roaring from your belly, not from here, from your belly, and as long as you can possibly go for each time. And what you're doing then is your body's going, oh, this is what I would be like if I was really fucking shouting. And it's okay. It's safe to do that. And you'll notice, and at the same time, you are releasing energy from your body, right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So what we're going to do together is deep breath in, roar, straight away, deep breath in, roar, straight away, deep breath in, roar, 3 times.
So roar with it, like this, with a pillow.
Yeah, so roar, so have a cushion. So roar into the cushion so you don't disturb your neighbors or whatever, right? Okay. Yeah. So on the count of 3, ready? 1, 2, 3, deep breath in and go, roar. Deep breath in and go again. Roar. Deep breath in again. Roar. Okay.
That was hard because I lost my voice for 2 weeks. So
Oh, well, thank you for indulging.
I struggled to do it from my belly. I could feel it from here. Like I couldn't bring it from the belly.
Yeah, that I don't want to assume, but there may well be some trapped emotion here because it's not allowing you. But this is a theory that I have, which is not necessarily based on any science, but my own practical experience, is that my ability to roar into a pillow has got so, like, from 10 years ago to now, has got so much longer. Right. And I believe it's because I'm much more energetically clear than I was before. I don't know if that's scientifically true, but there seems to be that. And it's like, I seemingly can roar for fucking ages. I don't know what, and it's very clear. Don't know why that is, right? So, but anyway, how do you feel right now? Do you feel any description, any change between before and now?
softer.
Any tingling? Do you feel a bit lighter? Yeah? Done?
Yeah, I suppose that's
No, I feel curious. I wanna know why I can't roll from my belly, and I want to learn how to roll from my belly because it felt good to do it, but I could feel holding myself back because my throat hurt straight away.
Yeah.
Like I can feel it here, and I don't want to hurt my throat. And I've done this exercise before, and like raging to a pillow, and every time I end up with a sore throat.
Yeah.
So
And
it's been a reminder that actually there's something going on there, and what can I do to drop into my belly and roll from there?
which we can talk about after if you like. But also one of the things to say is that imagine that if you're not expressing how you feel in a day-to-day basis, right? Your hose pipe at this point in your body, so your throat chakra, will probably be slightly tighter, right? And therefore, when you increase the energy wanting to move through it, because it's tight, it's going to hurt more. Like, and the more you day to day express how you feel, put your boundaries in, etc., etc., then your throat chakra will clear, and the energy will be able to move through it more freely.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, as I mentioned about having that practice, for anyone listening, try that roaring practice. And roar is regular opportunities for authentic release. That's one of them. Talking about how you feel, movement is another one. But and obviously dancing and that kind of thing, any exercises also. But it's very, 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 very important to not express how we feel too soon. We have to feel it. If life deals it, we have to feel it to heal it. If we express it too soon or whatever, like it's our body rejecting it like a sneeze ultimately. And all it's doing is saying, oh, you're scared of that. And so by being able to hold it and sit with it, that is the very, very important bit. So I think I've been categorically clear though, because that's the opportunity to stretch our hose pipe. Okay. So just in the interest of time, I'm not going to ask you about the summary of that section. I'm just going to summarize it. So exhausting and expressing our emotions is what moves us towards the life that is meant for us. So saying how we feel, like there's a phrase that I'll put at the end, which I'm going to again leave that hook, which will help you remember that. And then having a regular emotional release practice, which is feel it, deal it, feel it, heal it. That is the full practice. Liberate plus acceptance equals magnetism. Okay. Right. So three things that I said at the beginning. Just shout a one or two out. What do you remember?
About responding rather than reacting. Learning to respond rather than react. Come on, Roxy, help me out here.
the pressure.
Okay, I know that there's two laws of the universe.
Which are?
The law of attraction.
Yeah.
And the law of vibration.
Yes. Right. So just to say, speak into this for a second. So life will always provide you exactly what you need, only when you need it. And it's like, imagine if your hose pipe is only 2 centimeters wide, you will get the tools that you need to get them to 3 centimeters wide. And if your hose pipe is 8 centimeters wide, your life will provide you with the tools to get to 9 centimeters wide, etc. Because what's happening is as more energy moves through your body, your consciousness level of consciousness raises, and it's like changing the dials on a radio. You just get different information. So that's why I said at the beginning of the talk, you will remember exactly what you need at this point in time. And the rest of it, you just won't be able to remember because you don't need it. Your body's very, very efficient.
As you say, I'm remembering more things now. The anxiety is a massage to my emotions. Also, I constantly remind myself this because you've told me before, well, you've said it before about how life will present me with the life, people, and situations
to reflect where you're not free.
Reflect where I'm not healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I think, I've given across a lot. I did give a warning at the beginning that there's a lot in this, but I wanted just going to summarize what you should focus on. Okay. And so I have a bugbear, and this is a thing that I want to go around the world and speak about, is that we have a problem in society, which is we talk about mental health and we talk about physical health. Of course, it's important to talk about those two things, but when we talk about them in that way, we separate them, right? And there's a neck. We all have a neck. So there's no such thing as mental health and physical health. There's only health, which is, and ultimately, if you emotional health, i.e., if your emotions are flowing, you're healthy. Like you'll have good physical health and you have good mental health. If they're not flowing, you'll stagnate and your depression happens. And depression is a sign for deep rest. You need to rest more. The reason your body doesn't have any motivation is because it's craving for you to not do anything and to rest. Right. And so to monitor energy flow is the tool that I mentioned. So liberate plus acceptance equals magnetism. That's the method that I've created based on various different systems.
Liberate plus acceptance
equals magnetism. So liberate is face your emotions, notice what you're noticing. Yeah. Acceptance is embrace your emotions, which is feel what needs to be felt and therefore choose a different behavior. So I, on the clock face, remember each time. And when you do that, you incrementally attract a different life towards you. Right. So, and the key to it, and this is the purpose of vulnerability, is vulnerability. It is it's signing where you need to go. Like there's a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. And what he's referring to is vulnerability. Insecurity, the deep, deep wisdom in it is the edge of your comfort zone is where life is. Right. And so to remember, life will not change unless you decide to make it change. Right. So think of it this way. If you're currently watching Channel 5 and you want to watch Channel 11 on TV, you cannot watch Channel 11 without changing the channel. It's not possible. Right. And you change the channel by incrementally changing it, as we've spoken about it. And life is not have something, then do it, and then be it. Life is you have to be it first, and then you do it, and then you have it. And the stepping into the being it is where vulnerability currently gets in the way. But all we need to do is reprogramming it ourselves to understand that vulnerability is in fact a go, not a no. Okay. And so you've drawn a line by coming along to this, like you now know this information and you've now been aware of it. And so now it's ultimately for you to choose each time, oh, vulnerability is coming up. Am I going to listen to that fear, or am I going to acknowledge that I'm the awareness and I'm not the thoughts and emotions, and therefore choose a different choice? Because when we face and embrace our emotions, and we enable ourselves to ride out that wave of vulnerability caused by anxiety or fear or whatever, we can feel our feelings. And if we feel our feelings, we let them go. And that is what creates abundance in our lives. Right. So remember the baby. They are just feeling their emotions. And if there was a goal to any form of spirituality or enlightenment, it is getting back to how a baby operates, their body operates, because they're clear of emotional blockages. Right. The most spiritual beings on the planet are children, for sure. Right. And so that's why I created Plight Club. And so any support you can give with regard to plightclub.co.uk, because if we want to change the societal landscape, we have to take our inner landscape as individuals first. And vulnerability is the key to that. And Plight Club's all about being vulnerables, so rebelling through your vulnerability. And as Alan Watts says, as I've mentioned, there's a deep wisdom in the insecurity. And this is a phrase that is on the back of my business cards, actually, but it says, if you're not expressing how you feel, you are literally, and I mean literally, attracting a life and a relationship that was never meant for you. Ever. Right? So what happens is that you imagine that now there's a flow of life going this way, and that's the direction that life wants you to go in. Most people go, no, I want my life to look like that. I want it to look like that. And what happens is I'm going to churn, but life goes, no, go that way, go that way. And it's like vulnerability is the key, saying life's telling you to go fucking that way. Listen. And so eventually, if you start listening, you start to align with life. And then all of a sudden it fucking takes you. And then when you're in flow with the thing you're meant to be doing and with your partner that you're meant to be with, etc., life gets amazing. It feels great. But the key to it and the purpose of vulnerability is that it's a go, not a no. And it is the catalyst to our freedom. Right? Okay, so now just to close this, just close your eyes. Everyone that's listening, if it's a playback, also close your eyes, don't pretend. And so just listen to this. I'm just going to say some words and I just want you to feel what comes up. So you're as you are, you're an amazing, absolutely beautiful, perfect human being. There is nothing wrong with you in any way, shape or form. None. Right? You're just out of alignment with the universal laws. Right? You're just an adult baby, ultimately, with the power to manifest. It's already inside of you. It's already in there. You just need to find the courage to face and embrace your emotions, right? And to make space to hold them. And because of that, non-reaction, or your ability to hold vulnerability within your body, is your superpower. The purpose of vulnerability is a superpower. It is a superpower to free you into the existence that you're meant to be living, not the one that your parents and society have programmed you into. And so from this point forward, you have a choice. You can either listen to your fear and stay as you are, stay watching Channel 5, or you can incrementally change by noticing each fear, feeling the vulnerability involved, allowing yourself to actually feel it, then maybe talk about it, etc., and slowly but surely change to the real life that is meant for you. The choice is yours. And so in closing, I'm going to invite us to take 3 deep breaths. So feel free to open your eyes if you'd like to. So deep breath in, deep breath through the nose, and out through the mouth. Notice how your body feels as you do that. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top and out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold at the top. Breathe in a bit more. And let it all go. And forget everything I've just said because your body's going to remember it anyway. Cool. And in closing, thank you for listening. My name's Adam Slawson. If you want to check out adamslawson.com, please do. And on Instagram, I'm Adam_Slawson. Just search it. And please do check out politeclub.co.uk and Polite Club HQ on Instagram. And if you can follow those 2 things and support the mission, it's a big one. I'm trying to redefine vulnerability because it is the catalyst to our freedom. So thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Adam. Well, if people watch it before Saturday, you have something going on Friday. Is it Friday? So
I have 2. So I've got one on Friday and one on Saturday, but the Saturday one's the bigger one. But so yes, I have the event I call Emotion Pit, and it's the Rage Rave, so radical access to greater energy. It is coaching on this subject whilst doing a dance movement practice, ultimately, and it's a massive release and big feeling medley, ultimately, and it happens the first Saturday of every month, apart from in like June and July, because I do it July and August, because I tour it at festivals, but other around the year it's there. So the first Saturday of the month, but we also in East London, and then on Friday nights, so the first Friday of each month, I'm doing it in West London. So check it out on Polite Club Turkey.
For the London ones. And then you also have your radio show, which how often is it?
That's once a month. It's the first second Thursday of the month. So I should know that.
I'll put it all in the information when I upload this. And sometimes you do, well, by the way, I highly recommend Adam's Instagram because there's loads of wisdom in there. You've really put such a great work in it. Like I love your videos and highly recommend it. And sometimes you do free online stuff also, like you'll do like a workshop or an intro or something. So
there's actually on my website, obviously you can watch this over again if you wanted to, but there is a more condensed version, which is like 35 minutes long of a masterclass of what I've just described, but a shorter version.
So homework, go watch that video Because the more we listen to things, the more they, I think, they permeate into our awareness and our conscious and subconscious.
And if anyone does want to like go on a journey with me, that like it's very, very deep work that I do. It's obviously it's kind of once in a lifetime work. It is a factory reset kind of thing. But just on my website, you can book in a call. Recommend watching the masterclass first, of course, and to remind yourself. But just book in a call and we can have a chat and maybe take things forward for you.
And you offer different packages, different times, or is it amount of time you like to work with people?
So the full program that I work with people is 9 months.
Right.
But then everyone bar 2 people that I've worked with have continued after that point. Not because it doesn't work. It's because you get the tools and the language to be able to understand what I've just said and embody it. But this work is it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And so they know and feel the benefits in life from it, and you just want to do it more. So it's testament to the work that I do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Roxy, do you have any questions before we close?
No, that was absolutely amazing. I'm going to journal like so much.
Amazing. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything comes up for you after this, Roxy, do feel free to get in touch and I'll happily hold space for you in that way.
Okay. Yeah, also for those watching the recording, if something comes up, as Adam said, feel free to get in touch with him. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate you being here. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Cheers. See you later.